Welcome Wanderers. Today on our first video of RPG horror stories, we have a player who accuses everyone of being a pedo in order to justify random acts of murder. Well, let's get to it. I am my friend group's forever DM. About 6 months ago, a friend moved back to town after graduating college, which meant that the friend group were all in the same place since, well, high school, which was pre-pandemic. We never really got into online D&D, so with everyone back in town, we decided to have another campaign. The returning friend rolled up a human rogue, the other relevant player would roll up a kobold cleric, and I, being a bit tired of DMing, ended up playing as a half-elf sorcerer. When the party met in the classic town tavern intro scene to meet a knight's captain to get their first intro quest to get them to at least level 2, right off the bat, the human rogue sees the kobold cleric and says, "I didn't know this job involved a damn priest." Kobold explains that he's not a priest in the traditional sense, but an adventurer who met a god who granted him powers. Rogue decided to let this go for now, but made it clear that he was watching him and his phony baloney gods. So the party finished their intro quest and decided to head to the coastal city-states to find out why monster activity is increasing, and get paid handsomely to kill them. When they got to the nearest coastal city, they were granted by the city's grand priest, who is leading the city after the royal family was killed by a lich. Rogue ignored everything that was just explained and said, "Why the fuck did they allow a fucking priest to run the city?" The party and the priest tried to calm him down, and he said, "If you cross me, holy man, I'll send you to meet the gods you love so much." When the priest then took us to his temple to unveil a secret dungeon where a magic sword that once belonged to the lich lied, Rogue said, "I bet you there is a trove of kids down in that dungeon. We are dealing with a priest after all." The priest took offense at the allegation and told them that he isn't hiding the dungeon. He can go investigate himself if he so wants. Rogue said, "Why? So you can kill us and keep your filthy secrets, you pedophile?" We were all like, WTF? And before we could respond, he said, "I used sneak attack to kill that filthy pedophile priest." We all begged him to stand down, but it was too late. We now were locked in battle with the Grand Priest and his Knight's Order, homebrewed paladins. Keep in mind, we were all still level 2. The first 2 rounds made it abundantly clear that we were going to lose. We ended up fleeing the encounter and one party member died in the process. Cleric then lays into him and the rest of the party agree and freak out that we are now fugitives and will likely have to watch our backs. Rogue then lambasts us for siding with the cleric and accuses him of being one and the same with the Grand Priest. He backs down when he realizes that the rest of the party stands with the cleric, but he does say, "You had better watch yourself, holy man." We ended up meeting our dead party member's new character, Ranger, and fleeing into a forest and getting surrounded by a group of orcs. They took us to their shaman, a half-orc, and a really interesting character who we are able to reason with. Turns out, he has been working to discover the secret of the lich as well. He invites us to a feast so that we can make alternative plans. Then, at the feast, as we get seated, Rogue demands to roll perception. He says that, "This feels suspicious. He's probably setting us up to get killed, red wedding style." When he rolls a nat 1, DM says, "You don't notice anything." Despite this, once the shaman shows up, Rogue says, "I jump on the table and throw a surprise dagger in that fucking orc shaman's neck." The party says, "Can we try to stop him?" But unfortunately, it's sneak attack, so we can do nothing as he murders our only ally, except beg him not to out of game and ask him why. We remind him that he failed his perception check, so even if he was sus, he wasn't. His character would have no ability to know. But he just responds, "He's an orc, and orcs are by definition savages who will rape, pillage, and murder anyone they can, especially given the fact that he's a shaman, which is basically a priest for uncivilized savages. And we all know what priests do to kids. My character would never stand for this." We all groan and roll our eyes, and he says, "I attack and show no mercy. All the savages must die." Unfortunately, rolls a crit, which kills the orc shaman, who is a level 1. The party in-game freaked out and attempted to tackle him, but it was no use. The orc tribe wouldn't back down, so we had to flee, take a shitload of opportunity attacks, and get 3 other players killed. Now, it was just me, cleric, and rogue. Once we escaped, we told him that he had gone too far and that he needed to face consequences for his actions. Cleric told him that he must repent of his grave immoral behavior, and Rogue just couldn't help himself and said, "Silence, kid fucker," and attacked him. I immediately joined in to help Cleric, and as the other 3 players rolled up their characters, they jumped into the fight against Rogue as they finished their character sheets, to which Rogue accused them of metagaming, but they just laughed and basically said in the most ironic way, "It's what my character would do. We are bounty hunters, and you are a wanted man, my murderous friend." But Rogue somehow ended up escaping, and DM unironically said, "Oh, I've always wanted to run a split party." Yikes. And that's where we are right now. I have no idea how DM is going to run a split party with one renegade party member on his own murdering religious figures, but on the bright side, at least he's not with us anymore, and we can now, hopefully, actually progress through the story without him being with us or rolling up another Edgelord. So, just from the outside looking in, there's already a couple issues that I see with this scenario. Where is the DM in all this? He didn't really step in until near the end, if we could really call that stepping in. Either you remove the rogue, someone talks to the rogue, or you switch DMs. If the DM is not willing to intervene and make it a safe environment for the players, how are the players supposed to have fun and focus on the game? Meanwhile, the rogue is, having their own fun, ruining everyone else's experience, not really being punished for it or having consequences for it. And they got their way in the end. They've been split up from the party. If the DM continues to funnel energy into this player, then it's just going to be a lot of wasted time on this rogue story arc and the party trying to keep up or find them or hunt them down or who knows. Typically, when you have experiences like this, it should be dealt with at the first sign of trouble instead of allowing it to continue again and again. If any party member is trying to murder someone for a very benign reason, you shouldn't assist them. You shouldn't feed that kind of behavior, One of my biggest concerns with the DM is, I've always wanted to run a split party. It's a really big red flag, and it shows that they're not willing to step in or intervene with this situation. Someone should genuinely speak to the DM or have a sit down with all the players involved, maybe not the rogue yet, and handle this separate issue. As for the combat being started by the rogue and then other players dying as a consequence of this feels like another sign that the DM is kind of enabling this behavior and allowing it. And I know I'm focusing on the DM here, but as a personal forever DM, these are issues that can be handled very early on into the game. I mean, this is a rogue horror story and a DM horror story all in one. And yeah, you're not going to know how people come back from college, but you do always know what to expect with D&D. And that's typically a safe environment. I mean, the moment that the rogue started combat with the Grand Priest and the Knight's Order, I would be asking as a player, why is the whole party involved in this? I don't know this guy. I don't know this rogue, man. He's saying profane things. He's pretty blasphemous. I'm gonna dismiss myself. The party should have been relieved right there and then if they did not want to be a part of these shenanigans. It didn't seem like the DM gave the players the option to dismiss themselves. It seemed like if one person made a mistake, we're all going down this hill. We are all suffering together. I hope the players resolve this with the DM. I hope the DM resolves this with the rogue. I hope the experience gets better. We'll find out in the future. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video, and if you like this, then be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content. If you love this video, then make sure to leave a like. Have a good one.